of all, welcome everyone to Winnermetrics Algorithm Factors. This is webinar 38, and I posted the last one on the website, and now this one will be posted most likely sometime tomorrow. So, and tonight, in webinar 38, I want to go over the Exacta grid, and I sent out a Gulfstream. And there's a couple things I want to show you, especially in the first race, from something we said last time. I want to help you understand how to interpret it a little better. So, and please feel free to ask questions. And just remember, if your TV's on, if you're talking to someone, everybody can hear you. I have people on right now from 4 continents across the world. So, at any rate, let's get started. And this is the Exacta grid. And this is the actual grid for tomorrow, uh, August 1st at Gulfstream Park. And you can see across the top, I put the track, Gulfstream race number 1. It's 8 furlongs on the turf, maiden race, and fishing score of 10. So, that's really, very attractive. Now, let me just make sure everybody understands what we're trying to do. So in this particular race, you can see under number 9, the 1. So that means optimal odds for number 9 is 1. So, and then everybody has their program number, and then underneath is their optimal odds. And then, so just say going across, so number 1 under it has 103. And then if you go down the left side, let's just pick number 2. And you see in that box, it's 12,480. Now be careful because there are decimals. For some of the numbers that are, under 100, there's there can be decimals to help you get a sense of things. So in this particular race, we can go over to number 14 across the top. You see it's 5-1, and then you can go down to number 9, and you see it's 24s in the box. So that's $24 for a dollar is fair value. So this grid is to help you. I know people want more action. I understand. And using the Winnermetrics, it's fun and you can make money, but a lot of times there's no bets. Some days I bet a lot of races and some days there's not that many. Anytime you place a bet, when you don't have an advantage, when you're betting on a horse that's well below optimal odds, you're really wasting money. Whether it wins or not, it doesn't matter, because if you keep doing it time after time, you're going to go broke. So this is the same. The Exacta grid's the same. So most likely in this race tomorrow, if number 14 runs, and if you were to think it would win, then if you go for 14.9, I don't know if you're going to get $24 or not. So say tomorrow, since a lot of these horses aren't very attractive in this race, then you might not get that 24. So let's just say it's 10. So that's less than half. Well, if you keep playing exactas that are that far below this number, it's going to hurt you. You're going to keep losing money. And conversely, and I'm not saying it's easy, this is to help you. But conversely, like the other day, we had the one Saratoga in the 6th race that was well over the number in this box. And then the Exacta did hit, and it paid $43. So, and the number, if I remember, was 11. So, it was about double, roughly double the amount in here. So it happens, optimal odds and the actual odds, actual post time odds, it all happens. So just to help you understand towards the bottom, this is an Excel worksheet or workbook. So you can switch, just click on Arlington, Charlestown, Delaware, and you can scratch. You can go up to the side and just delete one of these if the horse is scratched, and that'll help you analyze it. And tomorrow, as you probably know, it's a pretty big day. Del Mar's a big day. Saratoga's a big day. Monmouth has a lot of races. Gulfstream's got a pretty good card. So it should be fun tomorrow. And this is one tool that pretty easily can help you. Is there any questions? It's a lot of numbers.
I
I'm
have,
not very
I have a
artistic.
question, Gary.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so when you put this grid out, obviously you're putting it out prior to the race as at that particular time, and then we just, as the race gets closer to going off, then the numbers will adjust itself.
No, no. Let me explain. So these numbers in this grid is everything I do, every horse is evaluated individually. So these numbers will never change. Even
No,
if
okay. So you're all right. So we're just using that as a guide.
correct. These numbers are a very reliable guide because the one thing I try to impress upon everybody, our job is to make money. It's not to cash tickets. I mean, I know that doesn't sound right, but I'm telling you, I've been in the gambling business a long time, and it's really not about cashing tickets so much as making a profit. And these numbers are very reliable for what you need when you cash your ticket so that you'll make a profit. So, so you might say, well, geez, I cashed 5 tickets and I made $1,000 today. It doesn't matter if you play every day. If you only play today, you're never playing again. Great for you. You made 1,000. But I play a lot, and most of the subscribers play a lot. So you need something to go by. And so these numbers are based on optimal odds,
So
and they're created, it's very simply like number 9 will pay $4. So you take, if it wins. So you take the 1 plus 1 is 2, and then so that's because it's to $1. So plus another dollar, and then the plus 2 will give you 4. And then
right.
if you go down to number 14, so I use double the winning price times 1 times the place price. Now, of course, I don't know the place price. So typically they say, 1 times whatever the horse's odds are. It's an estimate. These are estimates. Like optimal odds is much really accurate. And this is as good as we can do uh, with the circumstances. But it is a good guide, and I'm getting good feedback from the beta testers. So not a lot of plays, but it's very reliable. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, if anybody has any ideas or anything, let me know. Any other things I can do, if it seems like it'll help, I'll try and figure out how to do it. So let me go over to this Gulfstream. This is race 1 tomorrow. Now, I think this is a good learning experience because last time at the last webinar, I was talking about the races with all this red under Mom 1A, Mom 2A, and Mom 3A. Now, the best judge of this kind of a race, I call it a weak race. A lot of times you'll see C1, like in this case, is mostly red under C1, a few yellow, no green. But under C2 is some green and yellow, only one red. But, to get a sense of things, I say this is a weak race, primarily because of all the red under Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A. So in this type of race, what you can think of is speed wins. One of the early horses, whoever gets the lead, is going to win. Now, normally it's horses who show some ability to get the lead. In this particular race, there's only three of them under BL1. So you can send out one of them's number 15, number 2, and number 10. So those are the three horses most likely to get the lead. Now, every so often, a closer will go to the front. I mean, this is horse racing. You never know what's going to happen. But as a general rule, whoever gets the lead or is very close to the lead, the only way they're going to get beat is if they collapse. So here, that's this kind of race. Now, you want to have some sense of how good the closers are. So in a couple races, we got a race very similar. However, one thing you can do to help get a sense of things is look under Mom 1, 2 and Mom 2, 3. So this column here is Mom 1, 2, and then Mom 2, 3. So under Mom 1, 2, you see a lot of green. So that means horses are moving. Doesn't mean they're going to pass whoever's on the lead, but it's going to group up a little. But under Mom 2, 3, there's not that many that are going to do it. So you can start to look, for example, this is when you got to put it all together, and you can look at BL2, and you can see that there is some green, and those horses, like say number 9, for example, has a pretty good MS as well and a pretty good BL3. So I know that horse is the favorite. The actual optimal odds is 80 cents. So if they're below $1, I just round them to $1, and for the Exacta grid. So, and you can see this horse has. You have really reason to believe this horse can move and keep going. Across the MT, the BL2, MS, and BL3, it's all green, all good moving. As confirmed under Mom 1, 2 and Mom 2, 3, and then it's Mom 3 equals 0. So, that horse can still get blocked. It can still, who knows, break bad. But, as a starting point, it's a pretty good contender. And there isn't a lot of horses that can follow through. And you tell that by looking at this Mom 2, 3. So you can look, just for example, this 4 horse has Mom 2, 3. So go back over here under MT, and can we follow through? So it has MT. It also has BL2, although it's pretty low. It's only minus 0.1. The MS is good again. So, like in the middle, kind of took a breather maybe, and then closed off good. So, you got horses in this race that can do something, but the leaders are still the leaders, and they're still very strong. So I'm talking about handicapping, but you got to start off with optimal odds, because all of this is, like say if there's 4 horse, it has optimal odds of 47 to 1. So, and if the horse is 10 to 1, I don't care what it does. If you keep betting horses that are a quarter of optimal odds, you're going to go broke. So there's just no two ways. So you have to just like keep everything in perspective. But this analysis gives you a better understanding of how all this red under Mom 1A, Mom 2A, Mom 3A is going to play out. And more often than not, one of those early horses are going to win, regardless of how bad they look. Is there any questions? I hope that kind of makes sense. Like in this race under MM, I would like to see a double M. I don't have it, but I would like to see it. So, it's these aren't that strong, and we're going to do another race very similar where they're much stronger. I forget if it was a third or fourth race. All right, any questions? So, this is powerful. This is something that will help you make good money, good hits. My favorite races is the maidens. Because all the like the stuff you're getting here really helps you see, and the public generally can't see any of this. So, this is a very helpful race. Fishing score of 10 too. Let me go down to the next race. See, so the second race, you got a few first time starters, you got a couple strong horses. Optimal odds, you have 80 cents again. You got three of them with yellow. So in this race, like if you're trying to evaluate these first time starters, assuming as a starting point their optimal odds make sense. If the optimal odds do not make sense, don't go any further because you're just going to lose. So for win bets, now if you're saying, well, let me take a look at the exacta because maybe the exacta pool, that's a different pool. Maybe that's paying more. So because you're trying to make your living off the mistakes of the betting public. That's how you're making your living. So it's not by making bets, it's by looking out and finding when everybody else is making a mistake about a horse. So even if it's actual post times odds are not where you want them, you can still double check the exacta grid because maybe the exacta is paying much better than say the win pool because they're totally separate. And trust me, you will find that both ways, high and low. But otherwise, this race, I don't want to spend too much time. But the third race here, I wanted to point out a few things. So, and this is the same as the first race in a way, except it's a 9 furlongs on the turf claiming. But the thing is, you got all that red from 1A, 2A, and 3A. Now you got a lot of green on C1 and C2, so that's different than the first race. But the principle is you still got the early speed you're looking at. So, but here, compared to the other race, you got a little more green BL3. You have the BL2 is not quite as much. The BL2, the Mom 1 2, is not quite as much as the last one, as race number 1. So here you have more horses that have good BL2, good BL3, but the early, like the last one, we only had a couple with good BL1. Let me just go up 1 second. See here, BL1, you only got three with green. Here, almost every horse in the race. See, so if you can see the comparison, so in here, there isn't that many horses that are going to follow through, but you have some. Say like Mom 1 2, you have almost all green and a few white. Now let's go back up here, and it's almost all green except one white. So you can see, and again, I'm assuming most of the horses are running. So Mom 1, you got really high numbers here. And then Mom 1, the numbers are not as high as in the first race. So, and you have a chance that somebody will come off a little more, come off the pace a little more because all these are so close. So, and like one of my friends, he always used to say, whoever gets the lead is going to win unless somebody passes him. Well, this is one of those races. look at them all fighting for the lead. Whereas in the first race, you don't have that. So I still think with all this pressure up front, it's possible a horse can come from off the pace. So another thing I just wanted to point out, it's not is this AP and TE. You see this green, and that can be pretty powerful. So always pay attention to it's almost like you got to pay attention to everything. So the other thing in this particular race, you got some good TVPs. So this race is even though you might say, well, Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A is the same as race one. And in a lot of ways it is, but then in a lot of ways it's not. So you just got to pay attention to like this BL1 with all that pressure versus the first race where there isn't that pressure. So if they go real slow, if the horses go real slow for the first quarter, the first half, it's way harder to catch them. Here, with all this green under BL1, it's probably not going to go slow. I'd be shocked if it goes. It's most likely going to go pretty fast. So, is there any question? I want to try and show the differences and how, like, the rule is, there's no rules, but the concept is if you see all that red under Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A, as a starting point, you're looking to the early. But you don't just stop there, you keep going a little, and you're always looking for value. Always. There's no sense placing $2 bet if you're not getting good value. Is there any questions? I hope I didn't put everybody to sleep already. All right, let me go to race number 4. So race number 4, again, these particular kinds of races don't excite me. Like, the TVP, like the places you might look here is TVP, maybe a double M, like up here for this top horse, AP, TE, P1, P2. It's, that horse is probably going to be tough. The weakness is that it doesn't have a lot of green going across, although the numbers are low. They're not high, but it's just it's a weak race. You don't have a whole lot of green in here. So you got the Mom 1, 2, and you got two horses have Mom 2 equals 0. So, and then the top horse is 0.9. So, those three horses, you wouldn't think the bottom two are going to be in the hunt. And, the first time starters may pose a threat, but there's nothing really to go on. And they would have like P1, they would have something here, but, it's not that strong. So you almost got to think it's going to be one of those top three. Maybe two of them will run 1, 2. So, but, again, not an exciting race. So, but we'll go down to this next one, which is, the same thing. See, and these are good. You're going to learn to, um, really like them, I hope. So, let me just take it up here. So, in this race, um, if you look at it, this is more like the third. Let me make sure. 1, 2. So it is the third. My screen scrolled up. Here's the fifth, right? Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so here's the fifth. So 8 furlongs on the turf. So, and this fishing score is only 4. See, so now, you got to think all this stuff through. So here, again, you got all the red. So under Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A. So, and you look again under BL1, and it's the same thing. You got a lot of early speed. BL2, see, this is much more competitive. You got a lot of horses in green under BL2, a lot of green under MS, and a lot of green under BL3. You go over here, Mom 1, 2, Mom 2, 3. So in the first race, it was less likely that the early would get beat. In the third race, there was some chance, and now in this fifth race, it's even more of a chance. So, and again, it's just like this stuff up here. The AP in green, TE, P1, P2, P3, P4. So you have RSR 77, and the rest of them are below that. So, way below it. So, if this horse actually runs tomorrow, it's going to be tough, you would think. So, but that also gives you an opportunity to, maybe see somebody else. So, that's the 11th horse. So, and we have optimal odds of 80 cents. Morning line, it says 3 to 1. So from here, it looks pretty strong. And if morning line is 3 to 1, it looks like, the whoever made the morning line is thinking there's several of them that are relatively close. Well, if the public goes for that, you might really get some good price on this 11 horse. So, but keep in mind, this is the fifth. Keep in mind that the early horses are much more vulnerable than, say, the first race, and somewhat more vulnerable than the third. All right. Doesn't mean they're going to get beat, because early speed is a big advantage in this type of race. All right. Any questions? All right. So you can start to see how you can differentiate the races, even though Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A is all red. So then here's the sixth. And, um, maiden special weight race. Fishing score is okay. It's 7. Now with the first two first time starters, then they both have TVP of 0. So I won't say a 0 never wins, but it's pretty infrequent. So more often than not, they don't have anything going on there. They don't have very much going on under P1 and P2. So chances are fairly slim that they'll win. And you have some green, you have yellow, green all over in Mom 1A, 2A, 3A. A lot of green, for T1, T2, T3. You have some. So it should be a much more competitive race, you would think. So, and don't forget you have 9 for horse number 2, and you have 8 for horse number 5. And the one thing again to remember, if you don't do anything other than bet horses that have I equals 9, you're going to make a profit long term. Everything I say is always long term. All right. Any questions? All right. So now this 7th race is a lot of red, but it does have horse number 6 has a green Mom 3A. Horse number 7 has a yellow Mom 3A. And you can go back, and BL1, you can see is more like race number 3. I think it was 3, or I forget now, but it's not quite as much of the strength in BL1. So still plenty, but you look at MT, hardly anybody's able to follow through. And you look at BL2, you got a couple that are still minus. but that's left over from the BL1. And then they don't have follow through in MS. So these horses up here, number 7 and 6, have the best follow through of all, and it's a claiming race. So, so even though there's a lot of red under Mom 1A, 2A, and 3A, this race is once again a little different because there's uh, a little bit of a dent in BL1. It's not as strong, I think, as 3 and 5 were very strong. So here it's a little bit less. And the follow through, the ability to follow through with the MTMS, Mom 1, 2, Mom 2, 3, the ability to get green there is reduced. So therefore, whoever gets the leaders, first, second, third, say after the first third of the race, you know, has a stronger chance of winning, say, than in race 5, where there was all that green in the middle third of the race and the final third. So it's those kinds of things. Like the other thing here, you have 4 horses with optimal odds below 1. So highly competitive, and it's all the same horses that are the competitive ones. So, and your best hope is they kill each other early and somebody closes. But you want to make sure you're paying attention top to Watts in the 7th race. And this horse. Other thing, just to mention, this 10 horse. Like it's got green for Mom 1A. It's the 0 horse, Mom 1 and Mom 1A, right? And it's also got green here for AP and TE. So, and then you go back over, it's E of 2, has an M, is dropping a little in class. Didn't run so good last time, but it's dropping a little. So that horse has the potential to go wire to wire. But you still got to get your odds. But it's worth noting. I mean, tomorrow you really just got to pay attention. So, any questions on the 7th race? Is there anything that you want to discuss as we're going? All right, race 8. Race 8 is kind of a hodgepodge. Again, the middle third and the final third is a lot of red. And there's, the Mom 2, 3 doesn't have very much strength. Mom 3, there's not a lot once you get past the 0 horse. There's only a couple in single digit, and one of them's got 5.4. So, again, the BL1 has all the green except 1. So this is a kind of race that whoever wins up early, has a chance. And the 6 horse has that MT is green, so that's the horse. It's not that far back, so that's the horse that has a chance of really coming around and pulling through. So you can see how when you consider the BL1s, and these a lot of the races so far have a lot of BL1, so which is a lot of pressure, normally, and it helps set up for somebody that's going to close a little. When you see all these BL2s in green, that's mostly a carryover from BL1 because they don't have much green, they don't have much strength really in MT. So don't be fooled by BL2. Yep. Do you have a question? No. All right. So, if you see the BL1's all green and then you see BL2's all green, don't just say, oh, well, they're still doing real good. It's left over from BL1. So you want to take a little look at this MT. So, and you can see like the 2 horse, the 7 horse really aren't falling back that much. But like say this 3 horse and this 4 horse have a chance to fall back. So, and no number stands on its own, other than optimal odds. So in this race, you got a lot of horses with low optimal odds, very competitive, likely to be very competitive early. And whichever one wins this type of battle is going to probably win the race. Here in C2, not that it's foolproof at all, but you got 111 for this horse. It's a 3 horse, so it's dropping a lot. Everybody's dropping some. Like here's another 111. There's a couple 107s. So, if you can get a sense of the race, you can get that it's stronger. It's much stronger than some of the other races. You got all these optimal odds below one. This, you got one in yellow here. You got all this green under C2. You got BL1, all this green. And then what's it turn into? It turns into mush at Mom 2A and 3A. So it's fairly certain that this battle is going to be done by the turn. So it's 9 furlongs, but by the middle of the race, if they run the way you think they're going to run, there's always a chance for a horse to close, and you can say this 9 horse has the RSR of 73, and then 60 and down is the rest. Well, that's when it's 70, when it's in the 70s or 80s, that's a substantial advantage. So you got to see, that horse will probably be pretty low. But you got to look. You never know. I'm telling you, you never know. So if you don't look, you can't just assume anything. Any questions?
Just
I mean,
wonder, I know you said following all these numbers and the figures, you said you were doing a revised manual
yeah,
to do all these. Has that been completed? Because I have a real old one.
yeah, that I only did one before. I think I finished at 18 maybe, and right now I'm on page 27, and I'm trying to like bring this stuff out. So I'm
So anything, a
hoping.
back one, older one would still be pretty much okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The revised one's going to be very similar to the other one, except it's stuff like I'm telling you, like what I'm trying to do in the new one is for each one of these ratings, I'm
Mhm.
trying to explain it more,
Yes.
and so I'm trying to help bring this sort of stuff out. So if you join the webinars, then it's going to be the same as the manual, but the manual, the new one is just a little thicker than the last one, and it explains more, but it's also maybe 70% similar.
Okay.
All right, I'm trying. I'm a one-man show. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You know, I try and explain how I do these algorithms. I never found anybody that understood them. So, they're so complicated. Any other questions? The other thing I'll tell you though, I'm working on doing a video. I mean, it's going to take me a little time, but like I'm doing the manual and I'm going to explain every rating. I'm going to be doing videos also and put them on the website for every rating. It's just, I want to finish the handbook and then I'm going to start the videos.
Okay.
And, so because I know people need help understanding it. And it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle. If you can put the pieces together, it's amazing. Especially Saratoga.
Yeah.
Saratoga is like magic. So, all right, let me go on to the next one. See now here, you see Mom 1 2 is all green. So you see, BL1 is only the one, and Mom 1 2. So, they're going to break out of the gate. So, this kind of race is interesting because nobody's going to really challenge the 10, you would think, for the lead. So, chances are reasonable, and the 10 has an E of 1. So, chances are extremely high that that 10 horse is going to go for the lead and be by itself. But you can tell by looking at Mom 1 2 that they're all going to become charging. So, like during the middle of the race. And then you can look at the Mom 2. So you got to put this all together. The Mom 2 is all red, so, uh, so, well, the Mom 2 3, there's no green again. So all these horses are going to come charging, but who's going to have the follow through to catch the 10? Or will the 10 collapse? And it's got real high C1 and C2. So, that means it probably won't collapse on its own. Somebody's going to have to go get it. And then it's got good APTE, so the 10 most likely is going to be pretty formidable tomorrow. Doesn't mean it can't be beat, but you can see how these races are different. This BL, in this particular race 9, BL1 is weak. So, and Mom 1 2, seeing is like you say, well, wait a second, MT isn't that strong, but Mom 1 2 is. That's because I measured them differently. So anybody that's got MT in green and Mom 1 2 in green is better. So, but it's like everybody would say, well, do you build off of this? Or they're all independent. Every one of these ratings is different, and it's and most of them are based off how would this horse do against 10,000 similarly situated horses. I don't compare one horse to the other horses in this race ever. I compare it to thousands and thousands of similar horses. How would it do? So when you see this RSR of 77 for this 9 in this race, that's pretty good. But then you see 10 has 68, which is not so shabby. So, it makes an interesting race. This race is interesting. But as always, I mean, if you don't learn anything else, just learn to go for value. So any questions?
I have one. You sort of brought it up. I've been thinking about it. We'll just go with this ninth race. It's basically hypothetical, and I don't know if I'm going to explain it right, but you have 10 horses there, and you said you're basing your numbers on mythical 10,000 races.
Right.
Okay, so we'll just say this is a 6 furlong on the dirt, 10 horses. If you have 7 horses, we'll say that never ran 6 furlongs and never ran on the dirt, and you had 3 others, how does your system take that into account, that the fact that, say, 7 horses never ran this distance and first time on the dirt? You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're saying, and the answer is that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So, no, and I'll tell you why. Let me, I'm not just trying to give you an answer or anything or be flip. The thing is that I've spent really hundreds and hundreds of hours studying these algorithms and putting them together. And there's things, I mean, it's hard to imagine, but in a race like this, there might be 75 factors that were statistically significant over thousands and thousands of races. And, change of distance, I'm trying to remember because I have 24, so I have 48 algorithms altogether. And I can't really recall where change of distance was statistically significant.
Well,
Or
I
change
guess my question is, you sort of answered, I guess, then it doesn't matter if the horses, if say 3/4 of the field ran at that distance or didn't run on the dirt, That doesn't matter. Your system takes into all the factors as to
Yeah,
what your numbers are coming out to be.
yeah, because what I'm trying to do is find out what works long term. So you might say in this particular race, maybe it will be a horse that ran this distance on this surface, maybe at this track, will make a difference. But it's only this race. I want I want it to be thousands of races where the
Right,
change, if it doesn't carry through like jockeys, having a top jockey just does not carry through from race to race to race. Or having Mike Smith or, whoever you want to say, they're great jockeys. I
right,
know they're great, but I can't make money off of them.
right.
Maybe in the short term you can, but I play a lot, and I've played over 1 million races. Well, you can't do that, and bet like the top jockey, you're going to go broke.
Yes.
I don't like going broke.
You're not alone.
So my methods are different, and I put it out there so people can consider for yourself. And you can. It's all about the expected value equation. I guarantee it. You can go research it, and I'm showing you ways to address it. And that's the only way you can win long term. Any other questions? All right, let's. So the 10th race, you know, I'm not even going to spend too much time on this one, because there's hardly anything to go on. Mostly like a race like that, you mostly just got to look at the odds, and might be a race, where the favorite, like that 2 horse, again, it's going to be low odds probably. But if it doesn't, like the morning line, like you can look the morning line and look at the rest of them, and maybe you'll get better odds on the two. See, I don't think you should bet anything under around 5 to 1, because like you'll say, well, a horse has 80 cents, so if it's going off 3 to 1, it's a good bet. But so much happens. I call it churning your money. You win some, you lose some. It doesn't really, at the end of a year, it doesn't put much money in your pocket. I'd rather pass and wait for a better race. Let's see here. So,
I just want to go back to that race a minute, Gary, if you could.
okay, sure.
Okay, you're saying that the 3 horse, like you said, what you're showing optimal odds, and then his RSR is 72 versus the rest of that field wouldn't, and if it stayed at 3 to 1 or higher, I mean, look, for me personally, I would probably, like I said, I like a little action. I would key that horse if it stayed as it did, at least 3 to 1 with the numbers that it's shown versus the rest of the field.
Right. And I understand that, and everybody's got to develop what's good for them. I'm just telling you my thoughts, but whatever's good for you. But now I will say you mentioned keying it, which I also do, but with high priced horses. But the thing is, if you're going to think about keying it in an exacta, go look at the exacta grid and see if you're getting anywhere near
Well,
fair value.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as as long as you're getting fair value, you might key it in the double, or who knows. So, but wherever you're getting value, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's not about winning a race. It's about putting money in your pocket. Anything else? All right. This is if all these horses run, this will be nice. And you got that TVP on number 11. That's pretty high. It's hard to get good TVP. And every once in a while you'll see one at 200 or something. And I'm telling you, it's hard to get that big of a number. And like in this race, like in the BL colors, there's a lot of green. Again, in this one, you got some, not a lot, but a little in the BL1s and like the MTs and the Mom 1-2s got a lot of green. So, this can be an exciting race. And if you look at Mom 3A, there's several of them got green, so, this will be fun, this race. You keep your eyes out. Fishing Score 9, maiden race, my favorite. So, so you just, and don't forget, you got two double M's, number 4, number 1. So, you know what? This race, there's a lot to look at. So, and keep your eyes open. This is the kind of race you can make. Now, maybe the 11 will walk away, but the top RSR is 55. So 55 means it ran out of the money. Anything under 60, it's like just in the back of the pack. Your middle, back, didn't really, wasn't very competitive. So it's a maiden race. Nobody's very competitive. You know, you got a couple different things with the optimal odds, with the double M's, with some green and Mom 3A. So keep your eyes open and see where how the odds fall. Could be the favor, but this is one of the races you could get a bomber. So I think that's the end of the races. Is there any questions? Anything else you want to discuss? We covered everything. Well, I'm always here. You can always send me an email. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I travel a lot. I'm in an airplane a lot, but I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And I'm just trying to help everybody make it happen.
So Gary, if we bought the subscription, the month subscription, you get the Exacta grid included with that?
Yes. Yep. I sent them out tonight and they went out, with the group. Yeah, the Exacta grid's free for subscribers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you tools that'll make you a winner. Any other questions? All right, well then I'll just say thanks. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll try again in a few weeks.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.